What's up, Ramblers? Your favorite CEO is back. And before we begin today's podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode. And follow Assistance HQ and Offsource HQ across all platforms to stay up to date on the latest content, updates, and more. And remember, if you need a virtual assistant, visit us at offsource.tech. Now, before we begin, a word from our sponsor.
But what I was talking about is a lot of the times, like when they're on Squarespace and stuff, that's great for startups. But then a lot of the times when they try to do a more aggressive marketing, like those platforms will be very difficult because we're talking about tracking the slightest thing, like where the clients actually click the button to contact you on which page and which button. Right. That we're tracking. And then like going through the whole process, we'll know what's your buyer's journey on your website, not just like, oh, how they shop for, your product and how they finally land on you, but no, like once they get on your website, what's their journey, right? Like from the homepage or whatever landing page, and then what's the next thing they're interested in, like what kind of content actually get them hooked. And then once you know all these things, then you can like, oh, like let's say in your business, like virtual assistant, what people really like, really what the topic that really comforts can be like time management. Then you just like keep going on that. Then you can utilize that kind of like a knowledge on your other platforms, because basically you're attracting the same kind of audience, and you would know exactly, oh, they really like the idea of like time management. And on my posts, I'm going to use like time management. I'm going to like, give out more tips and stuff like that, how I can help them to manage their time, or like, play with that. So does that make sense?
It definitely does. So one of the things that we're doing, right, is we're doing like writing, if you will, like like I don't want to say like writing campaigns, but like between like, I guess, copy, if you will. So we're doing like some landing pages, and then I'm trying to put together like some free downloadables, if you will.
Yeah,
like some
perfect.
downloadables to go like some articles. So for example, I just did like an entire marketing campaign. I built it all out in Notion, right? And a lot of like remote companies have been using Notion as like their database and for taking notes in their wiki and stuff like that. So what I did was I made it public, and I'm going to attach like an article to like, creating like a marketing strategy and everything, and offer the template like, hey, you guys can, download and use this template like for free. So like when you guys go to make your strategy, all you have to do is kind of like fill out the questions and columns that I already have there, like almost a no-brainer marketing strategy kind of thing. But I'm also trying to define like between like content and blog and articles and like landing pages for like lead gen. Like, let me ask, do you guys have like experience with like lead gen or anything like for like lead content?
Yeah.
Like
yes.
Grabbing info, like I can't think of the word.
Yeah, so like that's what they call the lead magnets, right? Like how do you like attract the leads, right? I personally don't do it, but we set it up like many times because that's the way. Like one of the way that you really make money on your website is basically like, it depends on what you're trying to have your clients do, right? Like, are you trying to like have them make a purchase on your website, or like you trying to turn it into a leads? Like that, like having a clear purpose, the layout will be very different on the website. A website to us is not just like looking pretty. Actually looking pretty doesn't do anything, like unless you're like in design, or like you're in in the field that actually matters. But like having a pretty website doesn't do anything for you anyway. So with lead generation, like the first thing that you would want is like a good CRM system, because with that CRM system, you can with a good one, you can track like where those people are filling up and
coming from.
Yeah, exactly. And then like, and on those, like you have to, of course, you will create a new form for all the lead generation. Let's say if it's on the landing page, then you'll create one versus, the one in the block, then where those leads are coming from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. Because whatchamacallit, we started doing, I don't know if you're familiar with like Typeform. I know some people like use Jotform.
Yes. Oh, I love Typeform. It's so
it's so good. I like, because the ease of it. I don't know if it's me, but I like how like people like certain companies are just they're not really they're not making anything new. They're just like taking things that are boring and making them kind of fun. So like surveys, they're
Yes.
not fun, but filling out a type form hat does have a different feel to it. So I but that's one of the things that I'm trying to like really compare is like using like lead gen forms of like, hey, this is like a survey, answer like a couple of questions versus just like, contact us, put in like a couple of information, we'll reach out to you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's the kind of like generation that you want. But then I don't know if it depends. It really depends. There might be a way that you can like actually integrate Typeform into like the CRM. Because what happened with CRM, they usually will allow you to do the form and then just embed the form so that you don't have to do any integration in between.
Right.
And what it does is like it just go like all the information fill into that form just goes straight to your CRM, and there's no like trying to pull information at all.
I think Typeform can, because Typeform does have a pretty good set of integrations.
I think so. I would
I
like
think
to
they
think
integrate
so.
with like at least I know I have mine integrated on Stripe, but I also think they integrate with Zoho, which is one of the other things because I know that what I was going to do was do like a CSV export and then like do a bulk update into the CRM, but I think through Zapier, I used
Zapier, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Zapier
that's another one.
really good.
That's cool, except like sometimes Zapier may not run and you might miss, and that's why I think Typhoon is really cool. Don't get me wrong, I love that thing. Like the first time I saw it, I fell in love with it. I was like, oh my gosh. But with an embedded form, you won't miss any of them because it's actually from the CRM system instead of having like a third party integration trying to run
Okay.
it. Does that make sense? Because like
Yeah.
Zapier runs great when it runs properly. You know what I mean? Just like anything else, but there are times that they will halt because of like certain errors that they detect on the back end that you might not even see on the front. So that would be like, to me, I mean, like it don't usually happen, but when it happens, yeah, you would like the CRM system's probably your best bet to go. But again, like I love Typeform. I'm just like to like,
You guys use?
what do we use?
Yeah.
We use all our forms right now is actually going through HubSpot for CRM, but I'm thinking about upgrading it to Keap.
I keep.
They have better metric system. A little more expensive. HubSpot is not as expensive for small businesses, but then like Keap has a better. They will give you like more detailed reports on like ROI and things like that, and also you can do a lot of like automation as well. Like
Okay.
let's say once the leads comes into your system, how do you nurture it?
That's why I love Zoho. Zoho literally keeps track
Soho is another one.
of everything. Okay? So with you guys building websites and everything, I'm pretty sure you have a extensive list with like working with different programs or integrating things in that nature. What do you like? What are some of like your like favorite programs?
Favorite programs in terms of what?
Favorite programs like overall, like productivity. Like so, okay. I think my
like
overall,
CRM. Are you talking about CRM? Are you talking
it doesn't have
about
to be like just CRM. It could literally be like, what do you enjoy using? So it's gonna sound weird, but my actual favorite program that I love to use for productivity is inside of this. So I had got an Oculus, it's an Oculus Quest, it's a VR headset, and actually they have an app called Immersed, and I can be in Immersed and have like 5 virtual like screens because I found it when I was in the market for like trying to purchase another monitor. So that tells you that their SEO campaign for like whatever they're doing, like for search, for like marketing, because I was like, I want to buy another monitor. And they were like, well, have you thought about a virtual monitor? And I was like, I don't have an Oculus, but they Google rammed some some amazing video like of someone using it on my Facebook feed. And eventually like I looked into it till I bought one and now I use it. Favorite like productivity app to use because I can meet with other people, I can do meetings, I have multiple screens. Like it literally feels like I'm working with like the iron, the person in the Iron Man suit, like Tony Stark in the
They
basement.
have like screens everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's like
that's exactly
dream.
how I feel.
Interesting. And actually, that's interesting. I've never actually come across that. I was searching for screens, so like monitors, of course, like more better, the more the merrier for me, basically. But oh, that's interesting. What is it called again?
It's called immersed VR. Very, very dope. I definitely always like. Do you use multiple monitors?
I do. I like just as we're talking, I have 3 of them. And I'm talking to one and the other 2 here. So that's my life.
Question. Do you do any coding?
I myself just very minimum. I try not to do any coding. That's actually on my not to do list. I gave it to my team. I was like, you guys do it. Because my functions, coding, a lot of people can do coding, but coding is not the only thing that on a website. Like there's so many like strategies is what I do.
Okay, I'm a strategies person myself, but this year one of my goals, which has been one of the ones I've put off the longest, is learning to code. Like I'm like, oh, I think that would be like a really cool additional skill to like just being a business owner. Like knowing to code, especially with how things are going, knowing to code is like at some point it should pay off as like, oh, your CEO knows how to code.
I think you want to know my honest answer to this question. Especially I'm in this field, I thought about it. Like, that's why I like know like quite a bit, like a little bit of coding, because sometimes I have to do it myself too. When the team gets too busy, I have to share the load. But to be honest with you, I don't think coding is the next big thing, but I think what happens, because coding, you can find so many people that can code, but you cannot find people that understand how combine the 2 arts together, which is the coding, the technology, and also human face interface together. And that's the most rare talent in my field, or in the technology field. So there's so many web developers out there can build websites. Like let's just say, for example, so many of them can code, but how many of them can actually hold on a second. My computer's dying. Give me a second.
No problem. Yeah.
Gotta plug it in. But how many of them actually can look at a website and be like, hey, let's strategize a website and actually make you money with the website? Because I can tell you right now, a lot of websites don't make money. They look pretty, but then they don't make money. And
you say you've been saying, like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean by like? Do you mean like it converts, or like do you mean like it's actively like? I don't say forcing people, but the way in which the website's laid out directs people to purchase.
Yeah. So one of my favorite example that I stole from one of the, like I can't remember where I read it, but then one of my favorite example is Amazon. Would you say Amazon is a beautiful site? I wouldn't. It's plain as heck. If I give a guy a site like that, they probably be like, what is this? But I'm telling you, they make tons of money on it. Do you have to be pretty to make money? No, but they make money, like it has nothing to do with. So I won't, like I said, if you are like, have a painting gallery or like some like crazy, if your field has a lot to tie up with the design, that makes sense. Of course, you have to have your branding and stuff like that. But then a lot of people like put so much emphasis on that. But then like, that's not what converts. That's not like seriously, the most beautiful site probably doesn't convert. Otherwise, like Amazon have teams of people working on the site 24/7 just to get you to buy, just to convert you. If they found out that like a pretty site would convert better than a blank plain site like that, they would have done it. Trust me. And they didn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like they didn't. Like that's how they make their money. They take care of their site more than anybody else, any other company, because that's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
But they don't. So, and then to be honest, a lot of conversion site, I love studying conversion just because it's just so fascinating, like what you think and what actually happens on your website are two like entirely, it can be two entirely different story. You would think people would, they would go here, you would click this, but like you can have tracking system to show you like, no, that's definitely not the case. People don't care. So, and there's so many other marketing aspect that goes into it as well. So I love strategizing website. That's what I love doing.
I enjoy it too. Like, okay, so tell me what you think of this, right? So
Okay.
creating what I thought of like for my website, because I outsourced it to a different team, but my thought was this: we are a virtual assisting company and we're service based, right? But because we have like a client portal, we have some tech. I call this like a service tech company because we're service first, but we have a lot of tech integrated in how we operate and everything. So I call this like service tech. But my goal was, because the sales and the agency like companies have a much longer like sales pipeline, usually because they come off like referrals, people take a lot more time like when they're shopping those kind of people around. So what I wanted to do was move the purchase. Gotta be careful how I say it, right? I wanted to move the purchase of the time that we already paid for from our employees and offer it to small business owners at an upcharge, obviously, but speed that process up. So for example, hiring takes a long time. Finding your marketing people takes a long time. Finding your accountant, your tax person, your admin takes a long time. Should you be a freelancer, it still takes a long time because you have to get the traffic. They're deciding, they're like, oh, should I go with a bunch of different people? People spend less time when they're purchasing like something from Amazon or purchasing something from Walmart. And so what I am trying to do is combine the speed of e-commerce into the process of purchasing a service, if you will. So my goal is to eventually, as fast as possible, have someone have help. So if you said, oh, I need to outsource any of my projects right now, I have a website that is really huge, going to be going on, like they have like 1,000 products or whatever, we're going to be putting a lot of payment. I need some employees. I don't have time to vet and hire and search and, all train all this stuff. You can go say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z, pay for exactly what it's for. And then within 12 hours, have basically an entire team of people helping you. Thought process when people are making that decision is longer than like a regular like transactional sales cycle. So I'm trying to reduce the amount of time it takes for someone to make that kind of decision.
I understand that. But there's a lot of, the reason why I say there's a, like, I understand that. I like that concept, but because, just being a business owner, have hired a couple of people before, knowing how like hiring the wrong person will totally burn you. And that kind of like, that kind of making decisions, especially you're talking about hiring the whole team and paying for it.
Not like a whole team, not like a whole team. So when we say we provide you with like a team, right? You have access to essentially the whole company. When you tell us what to do, it gets distributed to the person that would best do that. So for example, we are a group of 10 people. We have, say, 100 clients. Whenever someone sends us some work, that goes to the person who's responsible for doing content writing or the websites or this. And so while this particular person spent, 1 hour on your project of doing marketing work, another person might have spent, 15 minutes doing data administration. And so we separate how much time and work is being done. So you can't afford a $200 lawyer because they charge $200 an hour. But if you can afford the, $50 increment, the $50 for the 15 minutes, and they give you exactly what you're looking for in that answer because you're only going to them for 15 minutes anyway, then you've gotten the $200 hour lawyer, service, but not for the actual $200 price range.
Right.
And so we're trying to bring that into like a core. So essentially like a community of employees that are shareable.
Yeah. No, I love that. Actually, I feel like a lot of like I was talking to another virtual assistant was in India. Like I was introduced to her. I had to be honest, like at the beginning, I'm like, you know, do I really have to get on this call? As I'm like I myself as a developer before I got burned like so many times and got so frustrated like working with Indian teams. Like I have to be honest because they just a lot of the times like their web development team like don't understand like and don't have qualities
Right.
stuff, and the ones that have quality stuff they're charging like the US price, and why do I have to go with you if you're charging the US price, right?
Right.
Like and so like I did that before and I was like no more because we have overflow work and like we're trying to like have higher helps just here and there, and then it was a disaster. But anyways, so what I was saying is that like that lady actually that's what she does. Like she basically within internally, like she has a virtual assistant company, and then she just like start expanding like different functions, software development, website development, whatever that she got the most requests for. Then she developed a team within like her virtual assistant company basically.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for? Like, is that what you mean?
Something kind of like that. Yeah. So as we just add people, like, hey, you're responsible for any social media work we get. And so
Yeah,
you as a person, your particular expense is offset by us having, 5 social media clients and you do all the social media. But our
exactly.
5 social media clients might need data admin, but that's going to be done by somebody else.
Right, right,
So
right.
we're really like farming, like we're a company that just gives the work to who needs to do that work. And then you work with the company. So like you're assigned an account manager, and from there they're able to work. It's like, hey, what's going on? We provide the human touch, the account manager, the person that you talk to. The account manager then goes back to the team and says, hey, your job is to do this. Your job is to do this. Your job is to do this. And it might take you 15 minutes, you 30 minutes, and you 1 hour altogether.
Yeah,
We have an hour and change of work. We charged him, X amount of dollars, and we paid you. You got 15 minutes of work, but it's not just 15 minutes of work because you have 15 minutes of work for, 20 clients.
right, right.
So
I
it's like,
love that.
oh, well, they're not making a lot of money because it's like an hour, it's only like 15 minutes of work. Well, they have 15 minutes of work of like 20 different people.
Exactly, exactly. No, I love that idea. And then you don't have to, especially like they like the person they're working with, and like you guys can execute. I love that idea. That's a great idea. And it's like a one-stop shop, right? Basically for your clients, which is awesome.
We try, but my goal has been to just reduce that mindset of like, let's get you on and then purchase.
Hmm.
Like
Oh,
what, like I think of website strat because like that was what I was thinking. I was like, hey, how can I draw these people from and like need to purchase?
right, right. Exactly. And the big mistakes that a lot of websites developer or like even content strategists they make, it's that like they're not speaking in the client's term, right? Like when a client's thinking, they're not thinking about they need a virtual assistant, they're thinking about I need help with accounting, I need
Right.
help with bookkeeping. They're not thinking about virtual assistant, they can do it themselves, but they want to save time. So like on the website, let's say some people like a virtual assistant firm is targeting people for bookkeeping, let's just say that. Instead of saying services on your header, maybe you should say like, oh, like organized bookkeeping services. Then you capture them right away. It's like, oh, that's the solution that I'm looking for, you
Right.
know? So like you gotta like a lot of times you gotta think in the consumer shoes instead of like and that's why I have to redo my website. I'm like totally a different mindset. And but then we start to like implement that kind of mindset into our clients websites, and you see the difference. You really do see the difference. Like people stay on you have less bounce rate, and then they stay on the website for longer. They actually are interested in what you have to say on the next page when you say, oh, organized bookkeeping services instead of just services. You know what I mean?
And that's one of the big reasons why I like Master Networks. You know, I know we had met Master Networks and everything, but that's like one of my huge reasons. Like my client base is, I don't want, it's not necessarily people in Master Networks, but it's like me networking with these people that are small business owners. I get to hear what their pain problems are, what they're searching for, what they're
Yes.
doing, where they're in, like where they're like hanging out at, like what social media they're on. And so because I add them as friends on LinkedIn or like Instagram, I can now see where they're active at and everything like that. So I definitely like that thing of like the research. And I think Master Networks, or like just networking in general, not in general, networking, if you're a B2B, like if you're a business to business, is a great place to like just listen to potential people that are potential clients.
Oh, totally. I love it. Like I've introduced to so many like different, marketing agencies, and it's just interesting to hear what they say. And then, like they introduce you to like cool people as well. But I remember when I first met you, you have a tagline. What's your tagline right now?
Oh my gosh. So when you met, I don't know what my tagline was back then, right? My tagline now.
I remember your tagline actually when I first met you. I think it was something like looking for someone who won a few more hours in their day or something like that.
I don't know. Okay, so I don't know, but I actually thought about it. So one day I was just like sitting and trying to think of like a really cool tagline. And I was like, what encompasses everything? Our new tagline is real help from real people in real time.
Real help for real people in real time. From real people in real time.
Yes.
I like that. But is it, that kind of made me question like, oh, okay, well, is that their immediate problems? Does that make sense? Let's say for me, myself, I thought my clients, well, that kind of makes sense because I have a lot of like complaints. I heard a lot of complaints from my clients with their previous developer, but then like their biggest pain point is actually like that we're not responsive, not that we're not capable of coding. Does that make sense? That my people in my field are not responsive. They just vanish. Like they will not respond. They don't respond to any, like that's their biggest pain point. But is it like, so when you have that tagline, is it the real pain point for you? I like it, but then is it a real pain point of your clients when they're thinking about virtual assistant? Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, I can't say for sure. I mean, when I was thinking about like the tagline and everything, like I was like, okay, so like what do people need to kind of like know that differentiates us or what makes us like us? And I was like, okay, so like as a virtual assistant company, at least when I was thinking about it, the term virtual assistant wasn't as popular. Like this pandemic has tenfolded the term virtual assistant. So it wasn't as popular before and everything. So I was like, hey, maybe like, and when I went on like Crunchbase or like the like websites and everything to like look at other virtual assistant companies, like startups at least, they were like real tech, like AI, if you will, like AI. And I was like,
oh,
I don't want people thinking like I'm an AI, like, like when people like, at least then when the term virtual assistant, it was like Google, Siri, Alexa, like virtual assistant, like Alexa, Siri, Google, those are virtual assistants essentially. And so then the new AIs popping up, but I'm like, I want people to know that we're people, like we're humans, like we have a human touch here. You're going to speak to somebody real. So I was like, we provide you with like actual help. We're not a software. We're not QuickBooks. We're not like a CRM. We don't make your job easier. We're not some software that's like, you're like, for example, QuickBooks makes you do things themselves. Like if you can do bookkeeping, but you have to do the bookkeeping yourself. That doesn't take away your time. And if you don't know how to use it, like, how am I supposed to figure out QuickBooks using I don't know how to use my computer. I damn sure can't use QuickBooks.
Exactly.
We just take it off your plane. Like an actual person's doing this work. It's not you doing it on the computer. So it's real help from like a real person. And unlike, like the overseas virtual assistants and everything like that, we're providing you with a software like a client portal so you can track everything, so you don't have to worry about like Oh, how do I know that? Like, 'cause that was like one of the big things. So how do I know that you're gonna like get the work done if you're not there? You know, I can't see you doing the work. How do I know it's gonna be done? And then I was like, well, we have a client portal and you can track all of your work in real time. Like if you want to go in and see who's working on a project right now, you can go do that. And so at least like real help from real people in real time.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like the meaning behind it, but just from that sentence, I don't see, I can't get
Get
that
the core.
idea. Yeah. I have a virtual assistant too, and a lot of the people, actually, I've talked to a couple of people that like started looking into virtual assistant. It sounds like to me their immediate concerns are not really about like whether they're overseas or not. Some would like to go with the US, but what they found is the communication. It's much easier with local people.
Yes.
And I feel like that would be a advantage for local, for the US, like virtual assistants. And plus, like with that said, it's actually all the way, it all goes back to communication, right? Whether it's AI, because AI doesn't really communicate with you. They don't know what exactly that you want. But even like people overseas, like most of the time, because of cultural difference, they don't understand either, but they're cheaper. But I can tell you, like, this is what wins. Like I just, before I met, like we met again, I refer somebody to a local virtual assistant from that I know. And then she was kind of straddling, like, oh my gosh, like the overseas team is much cheaper. But then I was like, well, yeah, like, but at least this lady is really good. Like, just I've heard a lot of praises for her. So like, just try, like, talk to her, see what you know and what you get. So at the end of the day, and then she's like at least tenfold more expensive than the overseas team, which is normal.
10
And
times more expensive?
yeah, like overseas team, we're talking about like $10,
But so she charges like $100 an hour?
something like that. Yeah, I believe so.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and you can. I mean, she does a lot of things though.
You can. Like if it's like just you and like you can absolutely charge like $100 an hour.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know like that, but I know like she's much more expensive. I think it's 10 times more, in a sense. If
Right.
not, yeah, I think it's 10 times more. But the first interview wasn't that much. I think because I talked to this lady before and I know her hourly rate is definitely like 10 times, you know, of $10. But anyways, like the client actually went with the US, the local lady, because she can provide more values than the other one. And yeah, like an issue, it's just really exciting to hear that. It's like, oh wow, like people actually still value values, like over the price tag. But anyway, so what I'm saying is that a lot of the times, I think it's the communication and the value and the quality, that is the question mark when it comes to virtual assistants.
Okay.
I like what you mean, the real-time tracking thing. I think it's definitely your differentiation factor, and I love that. Like, how do I know if you're just taking my minutes and not doing anything? But then if you tell them, like, oh, we track it real time, if you want you can go on the software and then you can see it. I love that.
That's what we okay. We have been talking about so many things. Like this was supposed to be like a quick 15-minute. Like
I know, I'm sorry.
no. I actually would like to know like your story. Like, how did you become, like, was website designing something that you always wanted to do? How did you get into being your own business? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
that's the whole thing.
Yeah, I graduated. I no, like, first of all, website design wasn't something that I thought, like, even not didn't even cross my mind at all. Like when I graduated, I'm actually lived in Utah for the longest time, and then graduated with an international finance degree, or no, international business degree. And just because I don't have to write a thesis for that degree. Anyway, so then I graduated, and then like I went to investment banking, actually worked in Goldman Sachs for like a year, but it just wasn't for me. Like it just too dull, if that makes sense. And I'm not good with politics. So my boss didn't really like me at that time. So I was like, okay, that's probably, makes sense, because I love moving things forward, and corporate is not about that. Corporate is not about moving things forward at all. I like doing things more effectively. I like, let's go. So then like I went into more jobs, like different kind of jobs, and then mostly are like in project management, and even in investment banking, I was more like in project management to like a team lead or something like that. So like eventually what happened is like one of the previous owner of business of Website It Up or looking to retire. He was looking to retire because he had a new kid, and he wanted to spend more time with his family, and he's a close friends with me and my husband. And then we just like thought it would be a good opportunity for us, like a business opportunity, so we took it over. And since then,
so this is something like you took over.
Yeah, I took over it. But then since then we changed a lot of things. We changed my whole team. Yeah, it was a tough decision. It was a very tough time as well. It's like a lot of things.
I want to dive in on that real quick. I want to dive in.
Sure.
So you took over like a brand new business, and you completely overhauled it, and you have a whole brand new team. What is that like? Because you had to cut some people's feelings.
Yeah. So
how did you do it? Because I haven't had to like fire somebody yet. So like, what did you do?
Okay, so this is my advice: fire quick. Seriously, because if you don't, it burns you. I have a couple experience of firing people. Like, first of all, before we have to hire a salesperson to help with, like picking up phone calls and blah, blah, blah. She was not on par. My project manager has to nurture, like, hey, call these people back. Like, that is not what you should do if you're a salesperson. So then we had to fire her. So 2 weeks into hiring her, I had to fire her. I had to let her go because I don't see any motivations in there. And that was my first fire. Later on, then I fire more people before. Like, you hire and hire slow, fire fast is definitely the way to go. Otherwise, you'll find yourself paying them money, but then you don't see the results if they're not the right fit. And then the next thing is I had to fire my whole team. It's because I know, and from the get-go, that they're not a right fit with me, like how I work and everything. But then I lingered. I let it just sit for a while. At the end of the day, I found that they stole my stuff. Like, they stole my resources to build websites for other people. And so I cut them off entirely. I pay them to the day, but then I just cut them off. However, if you have employees in the US space, you got to be very careful about the onboarding and the offboarding, and try to do it in good terms. Right. Because you got a lot of legal responsibility, which is another headache.
Oh my gosh, that's a scary one too.
Yeah. But did that answer your question? I don't know. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
No, I mean, that's definitely like an answer to the question. You feel me? It hire slow, fire fast, fired. I've always been okay, so what did you do to hire? Because you have to hire slow. So you fired everybody. When you hired everybody, what was the process? Did you do so personally, one of the things that I heard that I no longer do is I don't give a flying flip about testimonials or reviews. Do not give me any references. I don't care, because you handpicked people to tell me good things.
Exactly.
Why would I listen to that? Why would I listen to that?
Exactly.
But no, what's been some of the things that you do for hiring?
So I have definitely, I would say mine is not perfected to the best extent, but then what we do right now is we try to work with them on small projects, on if they can be on part-time, that would be great. If they can't be, if they can't really work with me on part-time, then we work in smaller projects. It's just to see how they work. And then let's say my recent hire is a developer, and I hired him because he has a great attitude. He's a really can-do attitude. If you tell him like, I want this something to be done, he's like, okay, let me go figure it out. And that's the kind of person that I want in my business. Like my team, my whole team is basically like that. Like, okay, if you tell them like something that, you know, the client wants to get done, or like they want to get done, basically they were like, okay, let me figure it out. And that's the culture that I want to have. And so then we work with him for a couple months. And then I would like ask my team people like, hey, team members, do you like working with him? How is it like? You know, is it someone that you can see yourself working with and still be happy with it, you know, and still get results? And they said yes. And so I was like, okay, well then he's a good fit. Like you said, I don't care about resume. I don't like do the whole like references and stuff like that because it's meaningless. Like you can tell me and then like, oh, what's your strength and what's your like weaknesses? Like, no, it doesn't when you actually work with the person and you're like, I thought you said that. Like, I thought you said you're good at this, but I don't see that you're good at it, you know? So that's how we've been hiring, you know, it's just to try to work with them in some way. And of course I compensate them, like not like I'm taking like freeloading on them, no, but then
Well, that's
like
good. I mean, because that's like believe it or not, like I've been reading like a lot of stories as we were talking about earlier, like with the whole Reddit and everything. You'll be
yeah.
amazed at some of the blasphemous things people will put on Reddit, like blasting other companies. But one of the big things is like companies like doing these mock trial kind of interview things, not paying
Yeah.
for like, but they're giving them like actual projects, like actual project work from real clients and real
Right.
stuff, not paying them for the work and then not hiring them either.
Yeah, I think that sucks because, but a lot of company does that. I can tell you right now, like having work in, you know, investment banking, the more the better the name is, the less that they pay you. At least an entry level person, they pay you much less than any other company because they can't. Just because you want to get in, you want their name, you want a job with them, then, you know, they take advantage of that, you know, like to get cheaper labor, but you're like, you know, graduates, but you're making like less than $20 an hour, you know, and in a great, like a bank that has great names, you know.
Right.
So they do that all the time, but I don't appreciate that myself. So I don't do it with my business.
I definitely do appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's crazy world out here. Reddit.
Yeah.
Speaking of, have you like where well, not speaking of Reddit, but like where are you finding your people? Like on Indeed or whatever?
Some of them are referrals. I found a couple of them on Upwork, just like, you know, people, the freelancers that I work with, and they eventually wanted a job. So then they will come on board with me. And some of them just naturally turn into like a employee in-house relationship, like one-to-one relationship, if that makes sense. Like when I say one-to-one, like they only work for me, they don't work for anybody else.
Got you. Well, oh, do people work when like if someone works, you know, comes to a website, do they work specifically with you?
Right now, yeah, we're still a small company. We're a small business. We're still a small business, but yeah, like that's how it works. I mean, you mean clients or my team members?
Oh,
Which
clients. Like if a client comes on, do they come in and say, like, for example, I know some people like they farm things out, like they'll have to talk to that person because that's the person that's doing that kind of work. Like, do clients come on expecting I want Fabrina to do everything for me?
No. I introduce my teammate to them. I don't have time to take care of everyone's request. So, and yeah.
You said that. No, I don't have time for that.
No, that's not what I mean. Like I do take
it's
care of
fine.
them, but then I do make sure my people is really good. In fact, like my team is so great. I'm very proud of them. My people is so great that I would call my clients up that I haven't talked to in a while because, like, you know, one of my teammates just start picking up, the account manager part, which is like if anybody needs any updates or anything like that on their website, he's the one's handling it from the beginning to the end, right? And then like going back to them, hey, it's done. So I called some of my clients. I was like, hey, how's it going? Just want to check in and stuff. And I was like, oh, hi. Is Ali still there? That's my teammate. Is Ali still there? I hope he hasn't left yet. They have no idea who I am. And then they were like, he's great. I love working with him. I hope he hasn't left yet. I was like, no, he's still with us. I'm just checking in,
Right.
So then I know he did a great job. Like I've heard from many people, even the most difficult client, and told me like he is great. So I was like, I know that he was a gem, like very valuable. So I try to check in with him more often, like, hey, like where you're at, I want to make sure that you still feel great about how we work together and things like that, where the business is going. And yeah, it has been great. But then again, like at times it'd be difficult because we're slow to hire, and then sometimes you have overflow and you gotta figure that part out. But it's part of it.
Yeah, it's always a different part of it. Wow, this has probably been like one of my more favorite like one-to-one masterclass like sessions that I've had. Not masterclass.
Really? I feel like I'm doing most of the talking. I feel bad, like I haven't heard from you yet.
In the beginning, like I had to like do like a conversation judo, because like I felt like I was doing like most of the talking at the beginning. Like I had to like switch it up because I was like, I'm doing all the talking.
No, you're not. I sort of know like a little bit about your background. I think you started, like just as a librarian. Is it correct? Librarian? No.
So I was a bookkeeper technically before I started doing this, but I've done my very, very first. I was like at McDonald's.
I did McDonald's too.
Hey, it's something about people that work at McDonald's like as their first job. That's like they have there's a grit there. But I did some outdoor sales, so like the outdoor sales reps were like, you go door to door knocking. Hey, you want to buy some energy, or like you want to buy like this expensive vacuum? I've done that. But yeah, I've always just loved being in the office. Like the office is what I like to do, because my dad was real estate, and like he would do everything. Like he's the business owner, he does everything himself. So doing everything yourself in real estate means you got to cut grass. It means you got to like trash. It means you got to go clean sewage, clean apartments, do turnover. So much laborious work, and I'm like, I don't want to do that when I grow up. I don't want to do anything. So now I don't.
No, it's great. Actually, let's set up another talk like another one-on-one if you don't mind. I feel like
I absolutely don't mind.
Come like it runs over, but I love to learn about how you are, how you grew up and the way that you've seen that, and what's your mindset it's like. So yeah, I'll definitely love to catch up again. And you've got a lot of like good ideas, and I haven't gotten to explore it yet with Reddits, and that's interesting one. I would try to, I don't know if I can, but I would try to find your post and see if I can find it on Reddit.
I have no problem. Like just add, like you can like follow me on Reddit. Like don't
what's your some people have like weird names and stuff like that.
It's Reddit, so it's like a username thing, but like yeah, my username is not like at least. It's not super complicated kind of thing.
What's your Reddit name? I will go follow you.
Offsource HQ.
Oh wow. Okay, I see.
Yeah, so like I can't really be low. I have to be very careful with what I do post on Reddit. I was thinking about doing an alt account where it was like I could just post whatever I want. No one knows who I am. Like,
exactly.
Like I was thinking about doing an account like that because I'm like, I got some steam to blow up. I got some but I'm like, chill out.
Good, but I will follow you. That sounds awesome.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh, I saw the first post. You lost 2 clients in less than 2 hours.
Oh yeah, that's the one I did the other day.
Damn, I'm gonna read it.
I thought it was a really good Reddit post because I was like, it wasn't our fault, but you guys could be the judge of it. And we gained a client that day too. So I lost two, and then over the weekend I got one. So hopefully I can grab one more by the weekend to recoup.
Yeah. I'm gonna read it, and then like maybe next time we can talk about that. I love to see more of these kind of posts and what you're doing there too.
Hey Ramblers, that's it. Podcast is over. Don't leave yet though. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, and follow us on YouTube at OffSource HQ. We'll see you next time.